Hey, what's up everybody? It's Christian with Reaper Disc, and today we're going to talk about the Kastaplast K1 Kaxe. So the Kaxe is a 6-speed mid-range driver, and in this instance, it's going to basically feel like a mix between a true mid-range and a fairway driver. It has a little wider rim than a traditional mid-range does, but not quite wide enough to really be considered a driver. And for the Kaxe, it's going to have the best of both worlds. This is going to feel like it's going to have the flight and controllability of a mid-range, but being able to get a little more distance and the feel of a fairway driver. So if you've ever found yourself kind of in a situation where you're just out of range with your mid-ranges, but you still need control, and you feel like, a fairway is just a little too much, this might be the perfect disc for that situation. So whenever I got out and started testing out the Kaxe, first of all, I think that it's just slightly less overstable than what the numbers represent. The flight numbers on this disc are a 6.403, and I think it's probably a little closer to about a 6.4 negative 0.5, 2.5. It's just a little less fade than a true 3 and a little more turn than a true 0. But that's just me, and everyone has a little different experience, especially testing out new discs. So whenever I got it out and testing it, I started throwing on a Hyzer. Whenever I threw it on the Hyzer, it had a fair little bit of flip out of the initial angle and got up to flat and rode straight for a little while before having a good, consistent, strong Hyzer finish back at the end of the flight. When thrown flat, it never really got to a turnover, it just flew really straight and had a lot of forward penetrating glide. This disc really pushed forward down the fairway, and whenever it did start hyzering at the end, again, it was a pretty good, strong hyzer finish. Not quite a true 3 fade, but it still had a good, consistently strong hyzer. When thrown Anhyzer, this disc actually surprised me a little bit. It got up and held the Anhyzer angle that I put it on for a majority of the flight. It had a very slow, gliding pan from left to right, and eventually as it started slowing down and getting a little closer back to the ground, it did start getting flat. It never truly faded, but when it got flat, it kind of pushed forward and had a nice straight finish, which is something very desirable about that flight. You never really want anything that's going to come all the way down on the Anhyzer angle and possibly cut roll, and finding that good disc that won't do that but also won't fight completely out and fade at the end is kind of a really tricky spot to fill in the bag. This disc definitely fills that shot with ease. It got up onto the Anhyzer, had a lot of glide, and had a just perfectly flat finish. It never came down on edge or really any angle. It just kind of helicoptered back down to the ground flat, which was exactly what I was hoping it would do. When thrown full power, this got a good flip to flat and had a fair amount of straight glide before having that good strong hyzer finish again. This was very similar to the Hyzer release initial, except this just went further. This is starting to get up into kind of some fairway driver distances and still having that good controllable feel of a mid-range. Like I said, this disc truly does feel like the best of both worlds. So all in all, I think that the Kaxe is good for just about any player of any skill level. For newer players, this is going to be a good, reliably overstable mid-range that you can count on time and time again to have a good, strong, reliable finish. While more advanced players and harder, faster throwers are going to find this to be a nice, straight flying mid with, again, that still good, reliable finish. It's not going to turn over too much out of the hand, but it's also not just going to crash fade back down into the ground. You'll still be able to get a good, nice, long, straight flight and still count on a finish at the end. Whenever I was throwing it, I found it very predictable and very controllable. I felt like I kind of knew what this disc was going to do before I even threw it, and it didn't give me any surprises really whatsoever. It pretty well did exactly what I thought it was going to do. The plastic on this disc feels really good. This is in K1 line, which is a nice, durable, yet soft and grippy plastic. It feels really good, and the rim configuration is very, very comfortable in the hand. Again, I think any player of any skill level could find a use for the Kaxe in their bag, and no matter what that use would be, this is a disc that is going to, really live up to what it claims to be. Very reliable, something that you can count on time and time again. So what do you guys think of the Kaxe? Drop me a comment and let me know. Subscribe to the channel so that you guys are kept up with all of our new content that we're dropping. If you want a Kaxe for yourself, click the link in the description below. That way you can go over to reaperdisc.com and find one there. Follow us on social media at ReaperDisc. That way you guys know all of our new releases, restocks, and exclusive drops. Again, I'm Christian with Reaper Disc, and I'll see you guys in the next video.